back to Distress 101, Just Add Water, my free online class with PDF files and everything available over on my blog, which is linked to below in the description. I'm also designing for Create a Smile stamps today, and I have 2 videos to show you how Distress inks really can react with water. And I have 2 very different techniques where you can implement water into your card making. To get started, I am going to start off with this really cool stamp from Create a Smile. It's one of my favorite background stamps called Letters. I think it's really cute for like happy mail cards and things like that, or using on envelopes, and I've used it many times in the past. I'm just covering my stamp here in Versamark ink because I'm going to be embossing it using white embossing powder from Ranger, and I'm only going to be stamping it partially, halfway approximately up the card, or maybe 2/3 or so, and just pushing down to get nice even pressure, adding the embossing powder, which I have here in my Tupperware container, and blotting off the excess. My trick is to just flick the back of the cardstock, and generally that works every time. I'm just going to melt this with my heat gun, and we'll get started on the Distress inks. I'm using a watercolor brush at the moment, and I'm going to cover my card in water. I'm just saturating the card so that my inks really can blend well together, and they'll also kind of scatter with the water when I add the color. I'm going to be using a couple of different colors here of Distress ink, but overall I wanted to create a really happy look on the card, so I wanted to use nice vibrant colors. So I'm starting off with Wilted Violet and just adding it sort of in a circular motion onto my cardstock. I'm going in with Picked Raspberry, and you can see I'm not really washing my brush in between because I want to add some of that purple color in with the pink so that they'll blend nicely together. And I like to go back and forth between the colors as well. Next up, I'm using Candied Apple, and then as well I'm using Mustard Seed and Carved Pumpkin. So I'm just going back and forth with the colors, adding different colors to the cardstock, making a really vibrant look. So you can see that the Distress colors are quite diluted at this point because they're adding water, and they spread really nicely and blend really nicely together. So generally I would say there's no need to invest really in watercolor paints if you have Distress inks. It's always a good idea to try these first if you have these in your collection first, and then move on. If you feel like, oh yeah, this is definitely something I like to do, then you can move on to investing in things like better watercolors. But overall, Distress inks I find work really, really well. I'm just going to use my heat tool just to dry this background here and get all the water off of the paper. I'm going to blot some off with the paper towel that's over on the side here, and overall it's going to create a really nice marbling sort of look when I wipe off with the paper towel. Now while I was doing this, the next step I did was I actually distressed the edges with black ink, and because my cardstock wasn't completely dry, it did not look nice at all. So make sure your card is completely dry before you do something like that. So I ended up cutting it down using a rectangular die. So I'm just adding my card base. It measures 11 by 4 1/4, and I just scored it in half at 5 1/2 inches to make a top folding card. And now I have my panel that I created before, which is now slightly smaller than you just saw on the screen. Again, just because I had to cut it down, I made a mistake. And instead of tossing my project, which a lot of people do and I used to do, I tried to make the best out of the situation. So now I have this really nice white border around my card, and I think it makes the colors really stand out very well. Lastly, I'm just going to add a die cut sentiment. This says thanks, and it's from My Favorite Things. I just wanted a really large sentiment for this, and I thought that stamping would have taken away from the background, and I wanted to create sort of a white on white look, something where you would still be able to see the sentiment clearly with a white on white, but it'd still be quite nice and not distract from the background. So that's the end of today's card tutorial. Here's a final look at today's card. All the supplies used are listed in the video description below or on my blog. Remember, there's also another video tutorial for today, so don't forget to check that out as well. You can access my blog and supply list up there at the top. Over on the right, you can click the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel, or if you click on the picture, you can check out yesterday's class, which was on natural backgrounds, if you happen to miss out on that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.